Hello friends, welcome to Shrirams. The topic for today's discussion is India's Draft Arctic Policy 2021. Backstory. India's engagement with the Arctic began in 1920 when it signed the Svalbard Treaty in Paris. India launched its first scientific expedition to the Arctic in 2007. India became an observer in the Arctic Council for the first time in 2013, and its membership was renewed for a second 5-year term in 2018. The draft Arctic policy released earlier in January 2021 is open for public comments till January 26th. What are the objectives of the draft Arctic policy? There are diplomatic, economic, as well as scientific objectives. India seeks to play a constructive role in the Arctic by leveraging its vast scientific pool and expertise in Himalayan and polar research. India would like to contribute in ensuring that the Arctic becomes more accessible, the harnessing of its resources is done sustainably, and in consonance with the best practices formulated by bodies such as the Arctic Council. What are the 5 pillars of the draft policy? The recently released draft document outlines 5 pillars of India's Arctic policy: scientific research, economic and human development, connectivity, global governance and international cooperation, and the development of Indian human resource capabilities. How does the draft view the region? The draft says that India believes that any human activity in this fragile region should be sustainable, responsible, and transparent with respect for the international laws, including UNCLOS or United Nations Convention for the Law of the Sea. India, therefore, looks forward to increasing its engagement with this vital region and its governing bodies in a responsible manner. Is climate change a centerpiece of the draft? Yes, there is one aspect of the draft Arctic policy that focuses on tangible benefits for India centered around climate change and the intricate link between the conditions in Arctic and the monsoon and Himalayan systems. The draft says that there are several synergies between polar studies and the study of Himalayas. Arctic research will help India's scientific community to study melting rates of the third pole, the Himalayan glaciers, which are endowed with the largest freshwater reserves in the world outside the geographic poles. Researchers have found over the past 40 years temperatures have risen dramatically and even more so over the Barents Sea and around Norway's Svalbard archipelago. What about connectivity? The draft policy highlighted that ice-free conditions in the Arctic are resulting in the opening of new shipping routes, thereby lowering the costs and reshaping global trade. Is India interested in the resources of the Arctic, according to the draft? Yes. The Arctic is the largest unexplored prospective area for hydrocarbons remaining on the Earth. India's current investment in Russia is $15 million in oil and gas projects. There are similar opportunities in other Arctic nations as well. The region contains several reserves of mineral deposits: copper, phosphorus, niobium, platinum group elements, and rare earth. The draft further says that although these resources are becoming increasingly accessible, surveys need to be conducted to assess their full potential. Environmental and social impacts due to increased human activities also need to be taken into consideration. Why is India interested when it is 7,000 kilometers away? Though none of India's territory falls directly in the Arctic region, it is a crucial area as the Arctic influences atmospheric, oceanographic, and biogeochemical cycles of the Earth's ecosystem. Due to climate change, the region faces the loss of sea ice caps, and warming of the ocean, which in turn impacts the global climate. According to the draft policy, India could be particularly impacted as changes in the Arctic have an effect on water security and sustainability, weather conditions, and monsoon patterns, coastal erosion and glacial melting, economic security, and critical aspects of the national development. The frigid Arctic, which keeps losing ice due to global warming, is one of the batteries feeding the variations in Indian monsoons over 7,000 kilometers away. Studying the response to warming in the form of melting is quite relevant to India as it provides tools to monitor changes in the Arctic. What about the geopolitics? The draft Arctic policy refers to the concerns around the Arctic as an arena for power and for competition. Geopolitics is about the politics of geography and territory, which includes its various characteristics, example, location, size, natural resources, trade routes, both land and sea, economy, and also environmental conditions. Most of the researches carried out by scientists from different countries indicate that ice in the Arctic region is melting with unprecedented and unpredictable rates. According to some experts, within the next 40 years or so, most areas of the region would be ice-free and navigable. This condition may lead to fierce competition and even conflict among different countries surrounding this region for the control of mining, oil and gas, sea routes, and of course territory for military purposes also. This scenario seems to be a more realistic as United Nations Law of Sea is not clear about the status of Arctic Sea and US has not ratified the existing law. Will it lead to militarization? The Arctic being so vast, resourceful, and strategically located is bound to become a center for geopolitical contestation. In the near future, the Arctic region may emerge as a core area of geopolitical debates. It is estimated that there are 19 billion barrels of undiscovered oil and 1,670 cubic feet of natural gas in the Arctic. Due to climate change, the resources may become usable too. The militarization of Arctic has to do with the resources. Companies can make huge profits. Thus, there are overlapping sovereignty claims. There is contention for resources and shipping lanes. Therefore, it is hardly surprising that Arctic countries are flexing their muscles. Canada, Denmark, and Russia are spending on the Arctic program heavily. Both China and Russia view the Arctic as a significant point from which to project power farther in eastern or western Eurasia. What are China's interests? China, which describes itself as a near-Arctic state, has linked its involvement with the region to the Belt and Road Initiative. The country's Polar Silk Road is a set of emerging shipping routes through the region which have opened up due to climate change and has a deeply strategic rationale. The Russian government most recently created a Ministry of the Far East and the Arctic. There are gas pipelines from Russia to Europe, but recently an 8,500-kilometer pipeline has been constructed from the Russian Arctic all the way down to Shanghai in China. Apart from oil and natural gas, the Arctic is also very rich in other clean energy renewable resources such as hydropower, wind power, and others. How far have India's research activities progressed in the region? Himalaya is India's first permanent Arctic research station located at Spitsberg, Svalbard, Norway. It is located at the International Arctic Research Base. It was inaugurated in 2008 by the Minister of Earth Sciences. IND-ARC is India's first underwater moored observatory in the Arctic region. Its research goal is to study the Arctic climate and its influence on the monsoon. It was established in 2014. Designed and developed by scientists from the National Center for Polar and Ocean Research and the National Institute of Ocean Technology, the observatory has been deployed in the Kongsfjorden fjord of Arctic, roughly halfway between Norway and North Pole. What is the correlation between Arctic ice melt and Indian monsoons? Rise or decrease in temperature in the Arctic region makes a significant difference to the monsoon and the cold waves in India. So if we are able to study the Arctic region properly and incorporate that in our climate models, it can help in improving our accuracy of climate forecast. The science is very clear that if the model does not include the details of the Arctic region in the forecast, it won't be accurate. Research in the Arctic region is also crucial because it has the fastest changing climate on the Earth right now due to climate change. So if the impact due to climate change amplifies in the region, it would have huge implications for a country like India. Has research established a correlation between ice melt and the Indian monsoons? A correlation between Arctic ice melt and Indian monsoons has been established, but the exact relation needs to be discovered. It is believed that melting Arctic ice and the consequent increase of fresh water in the region prevents heat from escaping, leading to warmer waters in Indian Ocean, which in turn alters the Indian monsoons. The effect of this would be detrimental, especially on agriculture, which remains critical to India's economy and growing population. Sea level rise would be accompanied by a devastating situation for India's coastal inhabitants and ecosystems. Moreover, the Himalayas, or often called the third pole where India's major rivers originate, will worsen the situation. It is imperative that India improves upon and put in place a more robust Arctic research program to deal with these future threats. Will the research have use for pandemics of the future? Yes. Melting ice in Arctic due to climate change could release new pathogens that had previously remained trapped, thus increasing the possibility of future pandemics. What are the Arctic region and the Arctic Council? The Arctic region comprises of the Arctic Ocean and parts of countries such as Canada, Denmark, Greenland, Norway, Russia, USA, Finland, Sweden, and Iceland. These countries together form the core of the Arctic Council, an intergovernmental forum. India received the observer country status in the Arctic Council in 2013 and is one among the 13 countries across the world to have that position. The status was renewed in 2018. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast.